6 months ago, if I was told that I was going to be in the Champ 4, I would have laughed.
Hey, what do you say we go race for a championship in Phoenix, baby?
Now that it's here, it's surreal.
When I look at what it takes to be a Final Four competitor,
Allgaier's gonna win at Martinsville!
Going to Phoenix.
it literally takes everything you have for every race.
How our team was committed to just getting better, and we've turned ourselves into a championship contending team.
We had goals as a 20 team. Some of those we still haven't met, but definitely thought that we were going to be a force to be reckoned with.
We just had grit. We stayed with it, and we didn't give up.
Why we're in the Final Four this year is the never give up attitude.
You got to keep knocking on that door, and it'll come to you.
It's not an easy task, for sure. You have to execute to the fullest potential possible.
Out of the 40-some drivers that race in the Xfinity Series every year, only 4 make it. And you have to be the cream of the crop to do it.
It has been a long journey, and as we just heard from the 4 championship drivers that have a shot at the title this weekend, this is the 33rd race weekend of the 2023 season, and it all comes down to this. 4 drivers. The one that finishes in front of the other 3 is the champion, and today is practice as we get ready for what will be a championship battle. Rick Allen, Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte with you. Kim Kuhn will be down in the garage and on pit road, giving us all the stories as we prep for this 1-hour practice session. There are the 4 championship drivers. Again, ranging in age from 37 years old and Justin Allgaier all the way down to 20-year-old Sam Mayer, getting his very first win earlier this year. And now he's in a position to fight for a championship.
So many different storylines. You mentioned their age, but it's much more than that, right? John Hunter moving on to Cup. Justin Allgaier has been in this position so many times, yet has, unable to reach that championship that he's so desired. Cole Custer up to Cup, now back to Xfinity. Sam Mayer, the youngster. So they all bring a different storyline into this championship. It's going to be interesting to see how they all handle the pressure of the weekend, starting right here with practice, Jeff.
Yeah, you worked a lifetime. If you grew up wanting to be a race car driver, these are the weekends you dream of. An opportunity to win a championship, and it's fun and exciting. It's also pressure filled. I always find it interesting to see who can come into this weekend, put all the pressure behind them, and go execute. It's easier said than done.
We talked with all 4 of the championship drivers. Justin Allgaier told us that when the red flag came out late in the race, he didn't think he had an opportunity, but then this restart happened.
Yeah, beating and banging RCR teammates at the front. A must win for that 2 of Sheldon Creed. You see that 7, the yellow and blue car, the 2 slides up and the 7 came through. Quite the finish with the big wreck behind him.
Yeah, and a lot of conversation, Steve, after this wreck. What is acceptable racing for a championship? And we've said it ever since this format came into play, is your values and your morals are going to be tested. Cole Custer didn't know if he had to go across the start-finish line to get points. Ended up he didn't have to, but he didn't know that. And that tight racing amongst teammates at the start that started all this melee, it shows you the situation that these drivers get put in. And that, I'm not saying the wreck will happen the same, but every driver is going to have to ask themselves, what are they willing to live with after they've done it to win a championship?
So much intensity going into that last elimination race to determine the championship 4. And now, Kim, we're here in Phoenix in the desert to determine a champion.
That's right, Rick. And this weekend looks drastically different than typically every other race weekend. That's because the team had 15 minutes of practice the day before they qualify and race. What does that mean for these teams? They can try a myriad of things on these race cars. They can change shocks. They can change shaft spring options. Realistically, if they don't like what they have today, they can change so much in the car overnight that they come with almost a completely different race car. Now, the one limit that is on them is they basically have 1 set of tires for this set of practice. So they don't want to chase the car in one direction based on the heat cycles we're seeing. Another thing to keep in mind, they did not lay PJ1 down the racetrack freshly. There is some remnants of it, so teams wondering what that's going to do. And then how will this racetrack change tomorrow once the cup rubber is laid down? So those are some of the items teams are telling me they're looking forward to and looking out for as we go 15 minutes of practice here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
A lot happening. As you mentioned, it's very rare. This is only the 5th time this year that they have had an extended practice session that wasn't coupled with qualifying as well. She mentioned, PJ, that's a traction compound. And so that is different also, is that they did not put a traction compound down in the corners like they have done in years past. Cars beginning to roll out onto the track for this, the final practice session for the Xfinity Series this season. Justin Allgaier, again, we talked to them, all of the Championship 4 drivers yesterday. Justin Allgaier explained to us how he was sitting in his car at Martinsville during a long red flag delay as they were cleaning up the racetrack, and he couldn't, in his mind, come up with one plan that would get him into the Championship 4. Nothing that he could see in his mind was going to get him into the Championship 4. And then what happened in front of him happened, and he said, I feel like I'm playing with house money now that I'm here.
Well, if he could dream that up, he should work in Hollywood, write scripts, because I don't think anybody could see that. But you mentioned that house money kind of reference, and he just seemed really content. And what I mean by that, this is a 37-year-old still looking for his first championship, and you wonder, kind of Denny Hamlin-esque in the Cup Series, who's still searching for his first. How much pressure is he going to put on himself? I saw the opposite. I saw a race car driver that said, I want to win a championship. I'm not hiding from that, but it's not going to define who I am, my career, both on and off the racetrack. So I think that attitude actually makes him a little more dangerous.
Yeah, I hear drivers say that, Steve, and I don't believe them. I think that winning a championship means so much. And I mean, after the fact you didn't win a championship, yeah, you can live with it. But I can tell you that, I feel like my career isn't complete. Even though I won a lot of races, I don't feel like I had as great of a career as I could have, because I never won a championship. And, when you're in the heat of the battle, that's what you're trying to do. That's the goal you're trying to accomplish. And, yep, it's not going to change the quality of person that you are, but it is indeed going to help define your career. Being a champion or not, it does matter.
Allgaier's season has been impressive, just like the other 3 Championship 4 contenders. 4 wins on the season. The most recent was the last race at Martinsville. Won in dramatic fashion there. Cole Custer, another one. When we sat down with him, there was confidence. He actually proclaimed that he was the favorite. He comes into this race thinking, I'm the favorite for this championship. So a little bit different from the other 3 that we had talked with. Xfinity Series driver that moved up to the Cup Series and then came back down and now is racing Xfinity, but he's made, he's not hidden the fact that he wants to be a Cup driver, and that's his ultimate goal. And if he can do anything in the Xfinity Series, like win a championship that would show he is of the caliber of a Cup Series driver, he wants to do it, because that's the ultimate goal for him.
Yeah, I believe he is a Cup caliber driver. He had a few years in the Cup Series, did win a race, but just, was never able to consistently put the finish together. To keep a ride. And as much as he wants to be in Cup, the thing I do like about him, Steve, is that he definitely appreciates the Xfinity Series. He definitely appreciates this opportunity. He certainly looks at it as a step down from Cup, but he doesn't look at it like it's just a terrible thing in his career to be doing this.
Well, it was announced this week that he'll be returning to this car next year. So I was wondering if we're going to see that announcement. We saw Riley Herbst make that announcement. That's Cole Custer's teammate, so that was one of the 2 seats at Stewart-Haas Racing. But then, Kim, we saw earlier this week that an announcement from Cole Custer and from Stewart-Haas Racing, he'll return to the 00.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, the entire organization of SHR behind this team, looking for a championship this year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And we can talk about how cool, calm, and collected Cole was this week. When I checked in with the team, they told me they're hoping it stays that way after last week. It was a nail-biter for this team to find their way into the Championship 4, because they were chasing points last weekend at Martinsville. So much so stressful that crew chief Jonathan Toney told me he got an alert on his Apple Watch congratulating him on a good workout at the end of the race. He was just sitting there on the pit box, but the stress of that race sent his heart rate through the roof. So again, they're hoping for a smoother day tomorrow, but you have to imagine being a part of that Championship 4 is going to make all of these teams feel that pressure here tomorrow.
Steve, you can appreciate that as we've got a spin. The 35 is around. That's Joey Gase. Caution has come out.
Well, this is going to put a little.
Front out. You didn't get the back at all, or just a little bit?
Heard some communication about the damage. This is going to be a little bit of a bump for the drivers who had this plan of running a long run. You heard Kim's report about only one set of tires, yet all the changes available. And so I kind of perused the garage a little bit today, trying to figure out what they're going to use this 50 minutes for, because I could put myself in their position. I could say, well, maybe 5 or 6 different changes, or maybe one 25-lap run. And it was pretty consistent through the championship for teams that they would really like to see 20 or 25 laps, try to run straight. But because they didn't want to heat cycle, what I mean by that is stopping like they are right now and then going back out, that cycles the tires, and it drastically changes the balance sometimes, especially here. So now they have no choice. They're going to get a heat cycle either way.
There's John Hunter Nemechek in the car. You see Joey Gase sliding, again coming off of 2.
Yeah, Sam Mayer.
Yeah, Sam Mayer right there. I'm sure he wasn't feeling too comfortable. This is from his view.
He's like, oh no.
Spin ahead, watch him. Be easy with it. Easy with it. Keep coming so don't get out of the pack.
I have to say, typically a car spins off turn 2, Steve. They make a lot more contact than that. Joey Gase did a good job of keeping the car out of the wall.
Yeah, normally you kind of get up into that outside wall. And that seems to be the trouble. Well, I say that. As soon as I say that, we'll start wrecking down here in 3 and 4. But the flatter end in 1 and 2, you know, in my mind, I'd just say, I think that's the most important end of the racetrack. If I was coming here, the flat end of 1 and 2 is where I believe my job as a crew chief is to provide a car that can do what John Hunter right here in the 20 needs. And I don't think there's a lot of ways that John Hunter can drive that corner differently. Maybe move up a little bit, but if the front tires don't work, if that car doesn't change direction and roll around the bottom of the racetrack, man, you're just kind of just sitting. You're at the limit, and there's not much you can do. So I'm going to focus on this end down here, Jeff, but the caveat to that is when you leave this corner and you head down here into the sunset, into turn 3, you're going to have to help me a little bit into the banking.
Yeah, so you can see, number one, it's very difficult to see with the sun, but now he's got to pick up his braking zone. He's right now running on the very bottom of the racetrack. This could move around. This track we've seen in the past, drivers will start running up top, but early in practice, you're going to run the bottom. You said it, Steve. This is very flat. Left side tires below the yellow line. A lot of off-top throttle time. And now you're trying to get the car to turn, make rear grip. This end of the corner, end of the racetrack rather, listen to when he gets back on the throttle. Much sooner. Much more throttle sooner, much quicker. 2 completely different ends of the racetrack. And see, what I find interesting is that when we come here, it's these 4 guys racing to beat each other. You really can't make a lot of compromises, right? You can be a little bit off in one corner, but you better not be very far off. If you are, those other guys will make you pay the price.
Yeah, we have seen at the Cup level the champion always be the race winner. We haven't seen it always in the Xfinity level. But with these 4 drivers, you better think it's victory lane. I mean, I know that's not how the system works. If you're the highest finisher, you're the champ. But I believe the highest finisher of these 4 is going to be the winner. I would bet that the top 3 are all playoff cars. I mean, that's what type of competition I think we're going to see tomorrow.
Let's listen in to John Hunter Nemechek when we sat him down this week as he's preparing for this championship.
It's very hard to get to Phoenix. To start with 38 drivers, the first race of the year, go through the whole season. Then when the playoffs come, to start with 12 drivers and dwindle down to 4 over 2 rounds of 3 races, it's very hard. You can't have any bad weeks. You have to execute to the fullest potential possible, and luckily we were able to do so. But it's not an easy task for sure.
Not an easy task for sure. We heard John Hunter Nemechek, and interesting, when we talked to him, he was trying to convince himself that he was the 4th best of the championship 4 drivers.
So what I saw, and Jeff, see if you and I agree on this. I saw a driver that has some scar tissue from showing up here in the Truck Series as the favorite and not winning a championship. And that's not John's fault. Right? John Hunter's not the reason they didn't win the championship. I'm saying the team did. But when I saw that young driver sitting in front of us yesterday, there was more to that conversation than this season or this weekend. There was a lot of water under that bridge. And I will admit, it was a little bit of a confusing conversation he took us on, trying to talk about his confidence, yet they need to, it's just like every other race, the pressures, there's a lot of buzzwords, but I wasn't making a lot of sense of it.
Yeah, he came here and Martinsville the year before, trying to, they were the fastest. They were simply the fastest all year long, and he tried to take it to another level, and he got himself in trouble. And so now he's trying to counterbalance that, right? Now he's trying to say, hey, I don't have to be the fastest. I can be the fourth fastest. I got to get my job done. It's an interesting outlook. I think it's just him trying to ground himself and to help make him focus a little bit. It's difficult when you make mistakes as a race car driver, when there's so much on the line. It's hard. It's very difficult to forget it. He needs to learn from those mistakes, move on, and go drive this race car the way he has all year long.
And one person he's listened to is his father, who's a very famous Cup Series driver, Joe Nemechek. And he told him to enjoy the opportunity. So I'm not sure if he's taking that to heart yet, but we will find out. Kim, what about the 00? Did they make some changes in the garage?
They did, Rick. It was interesting. We saw some guys that elected to stay out after that quick caution, some that came in, made changes. Cole Custer was one of them. The team, though, gave them choice. They said, you can stay out, run laps here. If you think it needs some work, bring it in. He said, I've got over-rotation center off specifically in 3 and 4, so sounded like a loose condition. They did come in, make some changes, but as we talk about the options they have in front of them with 50 minutes of practice, Steve, does this make it more challenging for a crew chief to make decisions on what to change when they're getting that feedback from the driver, or is it easier?
So I do think the challenge is real because it's just not done often, Kim, right? So Rick said this is the 5th time this year. If this was every week, then it would be easier because you have 50 minutes, you could take a breath, you could go over to the cooler, get you a cold bottle of water, talk to your engineers. Everything can happen easier, but that's because that's the cadence you would have every weekend. I actually think these teams have adapted wonderfully to this very short 15-minute sprint they normally have. So now you have all this time. Now what are you going to do with this time with still only one set of tires? Cam, if you're not careful, you can almost try too hard as a crew chief and start changing things, and next thing you know, you get done with practice and you're so far from what you thought you needed here, you ask yourself how we got there. You almost have to really, really have a limited list. This is like that coach on the sidelines of a football game. You see Jonathan Toney, the crew chief, the coach for this 00 up there, that notebook in front of him, that tablet. He should have 6 or 8 of his favorite things that are on the could try list. That's it. 6 or 8 of your favorite plays. We don't need 200 plays. We're not going to change the season they've already had. It's been a great season. Kind of stick with what got you here. Now's not the time to try something different. I mean, you wouldn't want to throw the ball at like the 1-yard line in the Super Bowl, Rick. I mean, that wouldn't work for you. You're better off to run the ball in.
See, the key to that is being close enough, right? Is and I believe the 00 car is. I do believe that John Hunter Nemechek, as he's done all year long in practice, has the best car. But Cole Custer is right there with him. They don't need to change the playbook, right? They need a little bit of a change. That's the key, is recognizing the situation you're in. If your car is nowhere near where it needs to be, well, then you're making big changes. If not, it's about tuning the race car and then going back to your notes and understanding how this racetrack is going to be different tomorrow versus what it is today. I do think that is a more difficult decision to make because, like Kim said before we came on air, there has been no traction compound applied to this racetrack. How does that change the race? And that is a guess that these crew chiefs are going to have to make.
Well, let's listen in to Cole Custer as he waxed poetically about what this championship will mean to him.
Knowing what to expect through the weekend, knowing when to be aggressive and when not, I think is huge. And I think just knowing how much speed we've had going into these playoffs and where we're at as a team, I think I'm very confident in. I think we'll have a really fast car for this weekend.
One of the things that gives Cole Custer confidence is his average finish in the playoffs. It's been the best of all 4 of these playoff contenders. And so Cole Custer feels like he's the best of the 4 coming in. And I think that confidence came across to us. And I think it's helping him feel more comfortable about this weekend, about going out there and capturing that championship.
Cole is he's very comfortable. Like, to me, going back to run the Xfinity series, although I know he hates it or doesn't hate it, but he'd rather be in Cup, I think it has helped him a little bit. He seems very mature, very relaxed, very comfortable in his own skin. He knows he can win these races. And when you sit, we talk to these guys a lot, he's just very comfortable. Like, as much as I think that it wasn't what he wanted to do, as long as he gets another opportunity in Cup, which I believe he will, then I think this experience overall is going to end up being good for him.
Sam Mayer of the 4 has run the fewest laps, and right now he's in the garage. Kim, what kind of changes are they making?
Well, he reported the car was too tight on entry, and then when he got up in the paint, it freed up. But as we have this conversation about confidence, you can get confidence from your season. But as we look at this specific racetrack, it is essentially a one-race shootout here at Phoenix for the championship. And Sam brought a good point up to me this morning when I talked to him. He said, I've yet to get a top 10 here, so this track has not been good to me. So what I'm looking for today is a good day in practice to give me confidence tomorrow when I'm racing for a championship. But I will note, regardless of his stats or lack of stats here at Phoenix, he was thrilled to be a part of the championship 4. He told me you only get your first appearance in the championship 4 one time, and so I'm trying to make the most of it with the hopes that I'll be here again in the future, but taking it all in as much as he can.
And this is what you're seeing right here is exactly what crew chief Marty Lindley has brought to this race team. This is the first year together. And what I mean, this is going to sound silly, but look, nothing's happening. There's no panic. They've made changes. They got the fans. If you look at the wheels, you see those blue fans on the wheels blowing cool air in. There's Marty Lindley right there. He's on the radio saying we're going to cool everything off. We want to get a good read on this. We got 32 minutes left. It's kind of like, the calm makes the lack of speed so far not okay, but manageable. Because if the crew chief's on the radio want to know what's wrong and getting wound up and talking faster and moving faster and slamming the hood and sending you back out there, that's just irritating everything. Right here, he knows he only has one set of tires. Marty Lindley has raced forever. So he is kind of taking command of this team. He's taking command of the pace in which they're going to practice. And I like this move with the young driver. If you have Justin Allgaier, I think you can move at a little quicker pace. He could probably digest it quicker. But knowing Sam, knowing his personality, knowing that he's only 20 years old, I think kind of restricting him and just being really in control of the plan ahead, I like this move from this team.
Yeah, Marty Lindley, I've known Marty for a long time. He's a good race car driver. He won races as a driver. His dad, Butch Lindley, a legend race car driver. He's just got racing in his blood, and he's very good at what he does. Very calm, always calm. He's been a great addition to Junior Motorsports, and particularly teaming up with Sam. He and Sam won races together in the ARCA series. They know each other. They trust each other. It was a great pairing to put those two together.
They have a lot of history, Jeff, when you talk to them about it, and they were like, well, I got Sam here back a few years ago at a K&N race. Like, when you start throwing back, 4 or 5 years, a couple different series, it makes you smile because, to your point, Jeff, like, that's all the water under the bridge. That's all the experience they have. Here's his teammate, the 7 of Allgaier, who's run now 18 laps. Lap times look okay. I think pace, I would put him a little behind the 20. If I would handicap it right now, I would say the 20 and the 00 are a little interchangeable. I thought it was the 20 early. The 00 made a change. I thought that change improved his car. He was better than the 20 on the long run. The 7 was a touch off, but here now at 17, 18, 19 laps on the tire, he's really matching the 20's lap time. So those three kind of throw a blanket over what I've seen so far in practice.
I feel like John Hunter and his team thought that they had the field covered until Cole Custer made this run. now those guys are like, hey, Ben Bayshore, crew chief of that car, he's been a Cup crew chief, an Xfinity crew chief, engineer, a very, very long background in racing. They have to really think about how much of a change do they need to make based on the speed that Cole had right there.
Sam Mayer back out on track after sitting in the garage for just a moment, cooling everything off. Again, fewest laps of the championship 4 drivers for Sam Mayer, only 9 complete. This will be his 10th lap in this practice session. And of the 4, Sam currently slowest for a single lap.
And the transformation for this young driver in the last few months is remarkable, right? I mean, when we were in May, if I said to you, Sam Mayer is going to be in the championship for Phoenix, everybody would have said, what? I mean, he don't have enough cars left as much as he hits, right? So he got it together. He did a great job. He's a young race car driver. It takes a while for young race car drivers to develop, and you have to give them time and the right guidance, the right leadership. Sam doing some self-awareness work, Marty working with him. Here's the things you can do better. We love your speed, but we got to make better decisions. And Sam's done it. And when he won that first race, it was like he was a new man. He was a changed guy, and ever since then, he has just been on fire.
Sam Mayer also spoke with the media yesterday. Here's what he had to say about the championship.
Since the playoffs started in the Xfinity Series, only 18 drivers have ever made the Champ 4 over the last, 8 years. Not many people have done it. A lot of repeats have done it or whatever and ended up winning a championship. But out of the 40-some drivers that race in the Xfinity Series every year, only 4 make it. And you have to be the cream of the crop to do it and do it right. And you have to come on strong at the right time. Like at the start of the year, we had 0 wins, and halfway through the year, we had 0 wins. And then in the last 12 weeks, we have 4. So we're doing our job right, and we're going for a championship now.
And if you believe momentum comes into play, then I would say that Sam Mayer feels like he has the most momentum of anyone. Very strong to finish out the season.
The sun getting lower, making this entry into 3 even more difficult. You see the dark shield that Sam Mayer is running. That's required for that backstretch, but it actually makes the rest of that shadowed area a little more difficult to see exactly what he's looking for in the racetrack. This still looks just a little tight, and that's why you see that wheel wiggle off, right? That time where he was just holding the wheel turned in the middle. So we'll see right here, it looks pretty secure in. Looks tight right there, and then as soon as he picks up the throttle, the back kind of comes around because of that tightness in the middle.
Junior Motorsports has 2 cars that will be fighting for a championship with Sam Mayer and his teammate, Justin Allgaier. Kim, back in the garage?
That's right. You see the team, or you will shortly go to work. Justin sitting aboard that car. We talk about heat cycles on the tires. He got on the radio after he went back out and said that recycle on tires, it got tight center and lost a little rear lateral. They said, bring it in. We're putting it on 4 jack stands. Then he asked Jim to come over and talk to him. They had a lengthy conversation. I've seen some weight bearings be kind of changed out. We're seeing wrenches in the back. So, Steve, are these big changes? Should we worry about what the 7's doing right now?
They look more complicated than they are. So those 2 gentlemen right there, there's a frame rail that runs the whole length of this car, front to back. You can't remove the front anymore. The caps are welded on for safety. So you have to unhook the back, push all of the ballast out, change how much spacing you have, then put it all in. And that could change your total weight. Excuse me, not your total, but your balance, how much nose weight you have in it. The percentage of weight that's on the front tires versus the rear is a pretty standard adjustment. Nothing you see on a normal weekend because you don't have time or you're allowed. But this is a relatively common change here. See the tablet giving him information. He can look at a lot of information, driver data, different lap times, communicate with his team.
You know, think about Justin Allgaier. You know, he has more starts, wins, stage wins, top 5s, top 10s, laps led at this racetrack than all the other 3 drivers in the championship race combined. And you look at that and you're like, that guy's a favorite. Like, why is he not the favorite? And it just hasn't worked out for him for whatever reason. But if I really believe if you give this guy what he needs, he can get it done. If he hasn't found a way yet. But if you give him what he needs at the right time, I really believe Justin Allgaier can get it done. And to me, he's what the Xfinity Series is about. Like, he is the barometer in which other young drivers, when they come into this series, they should watch the way he races. He races aggressively. He puts everything he has into it. He doesn't mind roughing you up, but he does it in a clean way. He's the example. The Xfinity Series has always had a guy in it that young drivers can look up to, and to me, that's what he does. And he'll never know the value of that, but younger drivers paying attention to him is a smart thing for them to do.
He's definitely the veteran of the field, has a couple children, and one of them, Harper, she will paint his helmet for him when the playoffs start. So that the helmet that he's wearing is a playoff helmet that his 10-year-old daughter, Harper, designed and painted, and he's been doing this for the last couple years, and it's always a surprise to start the playoffs when Justin receives that helmet. But once he gets the helmet, Harper very proud and says, "Dad, go out and let's get it. Let's do this." And so those are the messages that she has said on the back of the helmet. It's your time. As we see the two RCR entries, and they were definitely at the top of the topic conversation from a week ago, with Sheldon Creed and the two needing a win to advance to the championship 4, and Austin Hill needing a good finish. Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed battling on the last laps of the race, and that allowed the 7 to slide up on the inside and steal the win away. And that's why now Justin Allgaier is fighting for a championship, but not Sheldon Creed or Austin Hill.
Yeah, so you see Austin Hill right there, disappointed. He's remaining at RCR, announced it a few weeks back. Had a really, really good year, and I think he fits the RCR mold and camp very, very well. The other side of the coin for the two of Sheldon Creed, he's moving on. He's not going to be at RCR. It's really hard to believe that he's still looking for his first win. I really would have thought Creed, with the talent we see behind the wheel, would have gone to victory lane. But last week was kind of the culmination of a season of frustration, I think, behind the wheel of the 2 car. And I think the 21, maybe not a season of frustration, but a playoffs of frustration. And now they have neither car. I thought for sure they would have had one, but they have neither car in the championship 4.
Yeah, I think that was the real frustration, right, for Richard Childress and the upper management at RCR, is that, hey, we had 2 cars running side by side. If either one of them wins, they're going to get go to Phoenix with a chance to win a championship. They go into turn 3 side by side, and neither one wins. And that obviously was a lot of frustration, Kim.
That's right, and it seems that frustration is still lingering a bit for both of those teams. I talked to crew chief Jeff Stankiewicz for Sheldon Creed on that 2 car, and he said he was very disappointed in the outcome, wanted to be racing for a championship this weekend, said if they perform well, yes, it will be bittersweet. It will be bitter because they feel like they should be racing a championship, but they want to end on a high note together, he and Sheldon Creed in this team. He did say there was some camaraderie in the shop this week. He wasn't sure how people were going to react when he got into the shop, but a lot of the shop guys came, kind of gave him a pat on the back. On the flip side, Austin Hill definitely is still hung up on this, and he said that flat out. He said, usually by Monday, if I have an incident on track with another driver, I am over it. He said, but I am very much still hung up on this. It's kind of a hangover from last weekend, but he says he's going to use that to motivate himself. Go out and just flat out beat everybody this weekend is the goal for he and the team. Right now, Austin's saying in terms of how the balance of that race car is, depending on how much wheel he puts it into turn 3, he can get loose. The right rear just moves a little bit too much, and he blows through those front tires. So, you know, it's interesting how they handled it after Bristol when they had a little bit of a scrum between the two of those teams. It seemed like it was water under the bridge. They shook hands. They were still friends, but now it seems maybe something had festered, and there is a division between these two drivers.
Well, and it involved more than just the drivers. There's some words on the radio from the owner, and then some capturing on social media of Andy Petrie, kind of the president of the competition there, having some words with Sheldon Creed. Andy actually went on went to the media this week. I think he's on Fox's Race Hub. He's a contributor there, and he apologized, said he apologized to Sheldon Creed. There was some damage to this car. You and I watched it, Jeff. When they go in the middle of 3 and 4, the right front of that 2 car kind of smokes at Martinsville, and it doesn't come down the hill. And Andy, which we've all done, said, man, I shouldn't have said anything until I knew everything that had happened. There was damage to the 2 that he thought prevented him from coming down the banking like it should have been. But so it was definitely a bigger frustrating part for an organization than just 2 drivers.
Yeah, and it is a very frustrating thing to not have either car in the playoffs, but racing happens, right? Martinsville especially. One thing I want to point out about Sheldon Creed, look where he's running. I mean, he is up the racetrack. He is the first guy to get up that racetrack, and he's making decent time doing it. And why does that matter? Because will this work, right? No traction compound applied. That's, they did that to try to widen the groove out. Sheldon Creed up the racetrack trying to see if the speed is there, and that doesn't just teach the 2-car. That teaches everyone in the field. He went to the bottom that lap, and he actually ran a 10th quicker, but it's only a 10th of a second. And that tells you that as the racetrack rubbers up on the bottom, there is potential for that upper lane to come in tomorrow's race.
As we look at speeds for a lap, again, that's what we're comparing on the left side. Nemechek, Custer, Riley Herbst up there third right now after getting his first career win at Las Vegas, his home track. Got that 2 races ago. Allgaier fourth. Sammy Smith currently 5th fastest for a lap. Justin Allgaier, the 37-year-old, we've mentioned the veteran. He's actually the veteran of all 8 of the championship drivers, including the Cup Series drivers. The oldest one there is 31, but that veteran still has the desire to hoist that big trophy at the end of the season. Here's his comments.
As much as I want to win a championship for myself, I equally as much or more want to win it for everybody else that's a part of this program. All the guys on my team, everybody that's at the shop, all of our sponsors and partners. I feel like everybody has supported and invested and put the effort into being here so many times, and you almost feel like you're letting people down, right? I think that's probably for me the reason why I would like to win a championship is not because of the accolade of it, just making sure that you can repay everybody that's put their blood, sweat, and tears into making this program successful.
And you mentioned it earlier, Steve, the veteran that, and Jeff as well, you guys have both brought this up. So many drivers go to him. He's been a part of this series for plenty of years. He's been in this position multiple times where he has a championship that's right in front of him. He needs to go out there as a team, everyone execute to capture it. He hasn't been able to do it up to this point, but he's given so much to this series, not only his driving, but also his advice to the younger drivers.
Yeah, and he's we talked about it before. He's been really good here, and you would think that would make him the favorite. He just hadn't done it. He swept both stages here in the spring race, but finished 36th, and that's just kind of been his MO, is that he's got speed. He just has not been able to finish the deal when it counts.
Championship 4 drivers all in the garage now as the crews continue to dissect the information.
Steve, I think one thing that's hard of a red flag.
Oh, the old fan-controlled J.J. Yaley ride. Have you been following this on social media? They had basically allowed the fans to select a lot of different things. The front of that's taped solid, Jeff. You think he was trying to make a qualifying run, trying to make sure he could get in the race?
Must have been. I mean, the only way you could tape the car off if you were going to make a Q run. He's only run 11 laps so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's 40 cars here, so making the race is going to be. Oh, he's very high now. He's in the dust. Hometown race, or at least home state race for J.J. Yaley. Yeah, so the fans could vote on, I'm talking spring rate, like a lot of different things. I mean, I like taking input, but man, they've taken it to a new level. Now listen,
hold on.
Yep. Oh yeah.
They let the fans?
Yes, you could vote. I think it was like a 7 to a 1,200 pound right rear spring, and absolutely.
Oh, wait, so the fans did something wrong.
Well, I don't know. He didn't spin out to the end of practice. Maybe they were fine, and then they started working on it. Next thing you know, maybe they should. Right now, they should put it back on there and be like, "What do you want to change now? We're too free."
Hey, fans, let the crew chiefs do that.
Kim,
And Justin Allgaier back in the garage for more changes. He told crew chief Jim Pullman it's no better on what I was telling you the car was doing. Said when the fronts are loaded, I'm too tight. If rears are loaded, I'm too free. And the detriment to us with these longer practices is teams have way more opportunities to come in and have a conversation between the crew chief and the driver, which kind of leaves us out to lunch. We don't get as much information that we would normally hear on the radio when they have to just go out, log laps, stay on that radio. But right now, the 7 looking for more changes before they head him back out.
It's just different. You know, you build a race team for a certain. You know, I guess my question is, Jeff, do you like the practice, or do you think they should do it like they do it every other week, say 15 minutes? Well, I mean, I understand the practice. I get the concept. If it's all on the line, so we want to give you the best opportunity, but should it be like they run every week?
Yeah, you know, you guys have heard me talk about needing more practice for the younger drivers, but it is race 33. You know, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I enjoy more track time just because it's championship weekend. You know, I enjoy having cars on racetrack. I like the 50-minute practice, but it does change. You do have to approach these practices differently than you do all week.
Well, I'm telling you, Dale Jr. has to be smiling when he sees the performance of this 18 of Sammy Smith. He'll move over to Junior Motorsports next year, and I think he had the car to beat last week. I spent some time with his crew chief, Jeff Mendering, today. We've known each other a long time. He was my car chief back in the 2000s. I mean, our careers at Hendrick actually started together in the mid-90s. And, man, his car was good, and he kind of said, man, do you think I messed up when I pitted? And I said, no, I think you had no choice. You had the best car, and you have to kind of pick the last yellow to pit on. It's just been heartbreak for this organization at Martinsville. They won here, so they know how to get around this racetrack. But this young man, and when I say young,
oh yeah,
he's young. You know, we're talking 19 years old. Tons of pace, does hit a lot. Self-admittedly will tell you he probably hits too much, but tons of potential.
You mentioned this win from back in March. Sammy Smith, you mentioned so much potential going to Junior Motorsports. Got his first win right here at this racetrack, and now takes all the knowledge and the lessons that he learned throughout the season into his second season, and it'll be with Junior Motorsports next year, not with Joe Gibbs Racing.
So I also buried the lead. My apologies. This was the first thing that Jeff Mendering said. They flew out here yesterday. He's just kind of waking up. He gets a call from the truck driver. He goes, this is never good when you get a call from your truck driver. Or we broke down. What happened? No, Jeff, the car has come loose in the hauler.
Oh no.
And so he said he's picturing got to put a front nose, a rear tail. Now the problem is normally when they come loose, they hit the backup car. So now you don't even have a plan B. Now luckily the rings that kind of click into the floor, they only came loose on the front. So that allowed the car to roll back and kind of bang the door a little bit, but it couldn't roll forward because the ones in the rear kind of tied rearward, wouldn't let it roll any further forward. So it didn't make any contact with the nose. It just made some contact with the roll-up door in the rear bumper. So I said, did you have to do any repairs? He goes, oh, it'll look worse than that on the first restart with a shove, so we're good with it. But his heart sank when the words were, the car came loose in the trailer.
Oh, gosh. We talked a lot about the restart with the RCR guys, but let's go back to Martinsville and watch the restart with Sammy Smith. He is behind his teammate. John Hunter Nemechek goes to the bottom and takes the lane away from his teammate. There was no way to go on the outside. He needed to win that race, had led a ton of it. He needed to win that race to get himself here with a chance to win a championship. And I know he didn't expect. There's no way he expected his teammate to hang a left like that and take away that opportunity. And he had the fastest car. There's no question that 18 car was the fastest car at Martinsville. And he kept inching himself up on those restarts, and he got himself in a position. And I'm one of those guys that believe everything happens for a reason. If I'm John Hunter Nemechek, I don't want to race him here. Think about how fast he was here in the spring. Right. Think about the speed. It's another Joe Gibbs car you got to race. If I'm John Hunter Nemechek, I'm not putting myself in a position to have to race him. So, you know, I know everything happens for a reason.
Teammates. Let's discuss that a little bit. As far as Junior Motorsports, there's two teammates that you have two drivers that are in the championship 4, and then you have Josh Berry and Brandon Jones that are teammates to them. Can they affect how this championship ends up?
Well, they're on the racetrack, and the answer is yes, they can affect it. But how do you do that? How do you do that safely? You do what you just did right there. When your teammate who's running for a championship is faster than you and he's catching you, get out of his way. Don't make him use up any tire. When another championship 4 is faster than you, you hold your lane. You don't hit him. You don't block him.
Right.
But you make him put some work in. And I think for the 9 of Brandon Jones, he hopes to be in this position next year. Right? I think he'll look at this as a disappointing year at Junior Motorsports. They didn't win a race. But I know that the goal is to turn that around. I think they can turn that around. This is a driver that has found victory lane throughout his career. So, you know, he can come here and be just a really good soldier for the organization. And imagine that you're in it, Kim, right? Imagine this is your championship 4. How would you handle the pressure? I think he can learn that from as a teammate.
Exactly, and if you ask Brandon Jones or teammate Josh Berry what they want this to play out tomorrow like, they'll say, I want to win, and then I want my teammate, be it Justin Allgaier or Sam Mayer, to finish second and win the championship. Both of these drivers being Brandon Jones and Josh Berry looking for that first and only win on the 2023 season. So they are very hungry. They're not going to do anything to take a championship away from a teammate, but they certainly are here to grab a win. Right now, Brandon Jones saying turn is fine, but it does push up a little on the racetrack, tighten spots, but he thinks it's because of the shade we're seeing on parts of the racetrack.
Under 9 minutes remain in this practice session, the lone practice session of the weekend. They will qualify tomorrow morning and race tomorrow afternoon.
Well, 8 minutes left in Josh Berry's full-time Xfinity Series career of practice. He's going to be moving to the Cup Series, taking over the 4-car of Kevin Harvick. I was looking at the speed charts. He's right there, 8th quick on the averages, about the same, about 8th quick. A little bit better, longer they run. Man, racing can be so finicky. I mean, this is a driver that, you know, at the beginning of the year, if you say, hey, over, under, how many wins for, you know, Josh Berry, you'd have to be thinking, what, 3 or 4, Rick?
Right.
I mean, not a single win season. And yet somehow, Jeff, they're just still winless this year. It's quite shocking.
Yeah, it's a big surprise. You know, obviously disappointing for Junior Motorsports, for Josh Berry, for everybody involved. Without Junior Motorsports, he wouldn't be here. You know, Dale Jr. believes in this guy, still does believe in him. It just did not work out this year for whatever reason, but that guy can drive a race car, and going to replace Kevin Harvick. That's some big shoes to fill, but Josh Berry has Kevin Harvick's full support. I can tell you that. I talked to Kevin about it, and he's excited that Josh is there.
Talking about a guy that is ready. He probably wishes 2024 was next week. Riley Herbst was in a battle, didn't make the playoffs, but then this is a driver that has, even in the playoffs, the pressure of the playoffs and all the points, he didn't talk about points. He kept saying, all I want to do is win. I want to prove to everybody I belong. And then he won in Vegas and didn't just win. I mean, dominated.
15 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, look, you could have gone to commercial break before the second-place car crossed the start-finish line. His hometown race, father in attendance. You see the excitement, the hugs, great speed, and then he did it from behind the wheel. Actually, we're talking to Cole Custer. He said the 98 drove by me. He goes, man, we're pretty good, but I got nothing for that. That is impressive.
I tell you what I like, too, about what they've done is ever since that race, they could have won all the other ones, too. Like, they've been in position and had that speed. Riley with an all-time high in confidence. He's going to have a fun offseason looking forward to next year.
Yeah, he went to Miami and finished second in that race, and then he went to Martinsville, finished 4th in that one. So another one who has momentum. You know, the details are very important for this championship. And Sam Mayer, again, just 20 years old, Sam Mayer is practicing pit stops today as well.
So the championship 4 everyone's picked. The championship 4 picks in order of their qualifying a week ago. You see he's kind of down in the middle of the corner with an opening in front. These are the things, back to Marty Lindley. Look, here he is studying the computer. These are the things, Jeff, that I think 50 minutes of practice delivers that didn't used to deliver, right? What happens, Kim, is we always, 15 minutes, it's just, hey, are you fast? Can you run the racetrack? Now they're able to dig into the details a little bit more.
That's right, and he and the team and spotter Kevin Hanlon specifically coaching him through that pit kind of stall practice. In fact, at one point, Kevin Hanlon told him he needed to charge it harder into the box. They were also looking at his tack, watching his speeds, making sure that there weren't sections where he could possibly speed tomorrow. Kevin giving him details on that information. Remember, this is a very long pit road, and it's got some curve to it, so it presents challenges for drivers as they enter, as they make their way to the box, and as they exit, not just on the pit stops. A lot is in the hands of the driver here, specifically at Phoenix with this very hard pit road.
Yeah. So watch Justin Allgaier. What this team has done, they went full all in. Signboard, everything, just like it's going to be tomorrow. We saw with Sam Maier's team, he just had a kind of a sign, hey, this is your box. This team said, hey, this is the mark we want you to hit. This is much more of a better simulation than what they did with Sam Maier.
Is the Sam Maier team and this one team, are they confident? Because they didn't go to the end of practice. They went ahead and driver was out. He was looking at data.
You have 30 laps on a set of tires. I mean, how about this? If you don't have it, you are not going to find it on 30-lap tires. So, I mean, you can try too hard. You can get yourself completely dialed out. There are many times in my career that if at the end of the week, when I woke up on Monday morning, I would do anything to go back and take something away from practice. Something I tried to do that led us down the wrong road.
And what you talked about, the extended practice, Steve, this is something that it allows you to do, right? Is come down pit road, get your pit road speeds. If everything isn't like you wanted it, do it again. And, you know, they don't get this opportunity every single week. And the details make a difference, and pit crews make a difference. And it's not just pit crews, it's your speed on pit road, it's in and out of the box, all of those things matter. If you have an opportunity to practice it and to try to make it as good as it can be, it's crazy not to take it.
So that was a great shot of coming down pit road. You see the tack, I'm gonna circle it right. So it's right here, kinda right on the steering column, and it has lights. And we were on board as he came down pit road. You saw him flashing like 2 or 3 red lights right there. It was a great example. But now you can see how that could be distracting, right? I mean, I don't suggest this, but you know, you look down to change the radio station. How quick do you move down the interstate all of a sudden? I mean, that's the idea. Things can happen in a hurry.
Yeah, now shine the light on you. Look at the sun.
Oh yeah.
You know, so coming down pit road, sun right in your eyes. Trying to, if cars are in front of you, they're peeling off in front. You can't hit them. You have to look at the tack. It's a lot of work, and it's not as easy as it appears.
Bump up.
You have to wonder if Custer has an advantage with pit crews. Last week, his pit crew had the fastest stop of the year at Martinsville. And, you know, Cole Custer on pit road has been very clean this year. I don't want to jinx him. I don't want to Rick out on him. No speeding penalties. No speeding penalties this year. If he does it tomorrow, we'll bring it on. I got Rick out on him, but
is that praise?
None.
Is that praise that you're saying there?
Not
praising him.
Cut practice. We'll have a conversation about exactly what happened. How about the driver of the 20, Kim?
Well, I said good car because John Hunter Nemechek's top of the board. He kind of shrugged and said, yeah, it's okay. Did you get everything you needed out of this practice to prepare for tomorrow's championship run?
I sure hope so. We made a couple adjustments there, made a long run, and feel like we have fast Pi Barker Toyota GR Supra. It's as fast as Xfinity TG. We got to go to work a little bit. I need a little bit more for my feeling-wise, just to be faster, in my opinion. So, Ben and the boys will do a good job overnight, and hopefully have something to work with tomorrow. But really proud of everyone at Joe Gibbs Racing, everyone on this 20 team. It's been a heck of a year, and I hate that this is the last weekend, that's for sure. But proud to be a part of this group, proud to work with every man and woman on this team, and hopefully we can go get it done.
What do you expect out of the track tomorrow? I know there was some questions about the remaining compound that was on the track, in addition to the rubber that's going to be laid down by the Cup cars.
I don't know. I'm not sure what we'll have tomorrow, but we have some great teammates on the Cup side as well. So we'll definitely be questioning them, maybe sit in a motorhome with them later and just see what they think as well. So have Toyotas in all 3 championship 4. So hopefully we all 3 can get it done this weekend for Toyota TRD.
Appreciate him taking the time. And, you know, you can almost feel the tension in that group.
So, Steve, what I found interesting about that is he said, in my opinion, we need more speed.
Yeah.
Right? So The question for Ben Bayshore and his engineering team is how much, right? Do we need a half a tenth? Do we not need any more speed? Do we just need to make him more comfortable? Because the degree of changes that team is going to make is going to be based on two things: the analysis of where they are on speed and the comments from John Hunter Nemechek. And they are going to have to make a decision on how many changes they're going to make.
Well, the struggle I have is when I look at all of these drivers, the one probably didn't run quite enough to compare them. But from lap 28 on, throw a blanket over them. Now they're all standouts. They're the best three. Like I said, the one didn't run long enough. But the short run speed, in every long run, Jeff, there's a short run. And the short run speed of these cars are not equal. I think the 20 fires off the best. Then in the middle, it looked like the 00 got pretty good. And then at the end, the 7 maybe was the best. So there you have it, right? 3 different drivers. What are we going to have? A 5-lap run, a 20-lap run, or a 40-lap run to the finish?
So if you're keeping score, John Hunter Nemechek had the fastest lap. He was the fastest 10-lap average. He was the fastest 15-lap average. Justin Allgaier threw his name into the hat on the 5-lap average. He was third fastest. As we take a look at the top 10, all 4 of the championship 4 are in the top 10. That is for a single lap speed. But who will come out of this with the most confidence and go into qualifying tomorrow morning and then take on this racetrack for the possibility of a championship? That is all tomorrow. Joey Gase, a little bit of a slide there. Bring out one of the red flags that took place. J.J. Yellow, the other one. Cup Series practice is coming up next on USA. We'll focus on those 4 drivers as they fight for a championship as well.